John, another game with late heartbreak for the Bulls. What are your thoughts on what we've seen?
Late heartbreak, you bang on. Again, Mick. It's that resolve. It was obvious that the Halifax Panthers played better than us today. Their completion rate in the second half was 100%. We spoke about if we had half the ball, obviously with them being a man down, that we would win. We didn't have half the ball. And our defence on our line, 3 dummy half sneak tries, it was woeful. There were 2 guys laid on the floor when Jouffre scored the last try with 3 minutes left. We've just got to find something within ourselves that pushes us through fatigue or hurt. There was a time we couldn't put a player on the field because they were all injured. So, we've got to learn to play through this. So I'm absolutely devastated and disappointed because it's a real opportunity missed.
You mentioned you couldn't bring any fit players on. Obviously, one of those was Sam Scott. Chester Butler didn't come on. What were the other 2 injuries?
Well, there was Tom Doyle who cramped up, and we had to put him back on. Else we'd have been down to 12 as Halifax were for the full game virtually. And Eben scared as well. So, and obviously we had that head knock with Aaron Murphy. So, but they're not the reason. The reason's within ourselves, and we need to find it pretty sharpish, because we're getting ourselves into positions where we can win a game, and then we're just not showing the resolve, the resilience, the desire within to do that. So I've just had a word with all the players and all the staff, said we really need to have a good look in the mirror and see what's going wrong and attempt to make sure that we correct it pretty sharpish, because a 50% record, I'm really disappointed at this stage of the season. I would have been hoping for a 75 or 66% record, but 50% leaves you as a mid-table team. And I don't want to be a mid-table team, I want to be an upper-table team.
Is there an acknowledgement from yourself and the playing group, John, that you're not meeting supporters' expectations with that 50% record?
It's not support, it's our own expectations, Mick. That's the big one. It's not... everybody can have different opinions and so on and so forth, but it's our own expectation, our own standards, and I think we're falling below them.
You mentioned game management, John. We saw Bradford on the last tackle late in the game. I think it was Steve Crossley who ended up running the ball in rather than it going to Lilly or Patton. Is that an example of what you're trying to say?
No, I think the example's within us. It's the desire within us. 3 dummy half. Elliot Hall comes up with one of the best tackles I've seen all season, and that's the type of will to win that I want to see. But I want to see that across the board. It was the best player we had tonight was Sam Hallis. And if I'd have had 17 Sam Hallises, I'd have been absolutely delighted, and I bet we'd have won. So we really have. We've got to look at ourselves in every single way.
You've got your challenge to the players now leading into that Featherstone game, John.
It's you have to look back first, Mick, and looking back's going to be very painful. It's painful at the minute. I'm hurting. I hope the rest of the staff are hurting. I hope the players are hurting. I think they are. And we've got to come up with a solution. It's no good just pointing out the problems. We've got to come up with a solution.
Is a defeat as kind of shocking as that, in a way, something where you can sort of build up from the bottom and sort of almost reset and start again?
Well, I think we've got to acknowledge Halifax played really well, and you sensed that everybody thought the game was won as soon as Bobby Fairbank went up. Well, it isn't. You've got to play against 12 men and come up with still a good performance. I was fortunate to coach at Wakefield. We played Castleford. We bet Castleford with 12 men for 60 plus minute and 11 men for 30 plus minute. And it comes from what your players have got within them and that desire and commitment to each other. And I don't think we're showing it at the minute. And we've got to look for the solution why.
Do you think there was a bit of complacency in that sense that you thought the players maybe felt that the game surely we're going to win?
Well, let's look. I hope not. I hope not, because the message certainly wasn't that at half time. The message was we've got to be respectful, we've got to go through the processes that we're going through, and we've got to... the big thing was the possession, and they've murdered us for possession in the second half. They've had all the ball and they've completed it 100%. So that's credit. They've played a really good game, but we weren't good enough.
No, and obviously, do you think it's a cliche that is it hard to play against 12 now? Really, should that be that should be just something you've got to beat 12 now? Or is it like your football, say, playing against 10?
Well, there's throughout sport there's always heroic victories in there, and I think Halifax would probably put that down as one. But we're with Bradford, so we've got to put that down as a real opportunity missed to come up with a victory that would have distanced us a little from one of our rivals, i.e. Halifax, and would have put us in and amongst the playoff spots. But at the minute we're mid-table with a 50% record.
Exactly, and obviously, how is Sam as well? Obviously, his injury looked one of the worst.
Well, he's being stitched up at this moment in time, but I thought it was tremendous.
Yeah,
I really did.
Do you feel you were really affected when he went off? Because he's really causing them problems with the way he's barging through towards their line in the first half.
Sam Scott, you mean?
Sam Scott.
Oh, right, I thought you meant Sam Hallowell. Well,
No,
Sam Scott's. I mean, in all honesty, we pushed him to play today, and you might say it hasn't worked out because he went off injured, but we didn't know Chester Butler was going to come up with an injury, etc. It was a chance that we took, and it looked as if when he went over that tie, it was paying off. But I'm just so disappointed with our mental toughness and our desire to defend our own line.
Is it hard to find once you got 17-8 up that you couldn't see it out as well?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. I mean, we doubled the score with I don't know how many minutes were left, but it's been 12-0 in that last 10-15 minutes against 12 men. So we've really got to look at ourselves.
And do you very feel you're still the man to put this right? Because obviously a few fans are frustrated. But
well, they're bound to be. That's part of the job.
Positive.
Yeah, that's part of the job. And fans will have the say on social media, but they can rest assured I won't be looking at it because I aren't on social media. So they can all have the say. But I've been in worse holes than this. It's a 50% record. It's not a 10% record. But it's because I'm so disappointed because of the standards I set for myself and we set as a group for ourselves, and we've fallen well below them.
Do you feel under pressure, John? The challenges?
No, I feel annoyed, to tell you the truth, Nick. I feel annoyed and angry and frustrated and disappointed. I think that's the best description that I can come up with.
And you've talked about that character and that mental toughness. How easy is it going to be to try and get that into the playing group?
Well, that's something that we've got to really look at over this. Everybody's going to have a nice Easter weekend, and they'll all have the say. Well, we're going to have an absolute Easter weekend, believe you me. But that's part of the job. Anyone
that's injured, do you know anything about them? Or is that something you're going to find out in the coming days? Definitive injury?
Yeah, we'll find out, won't we? It's a groin injury with Chester Butler. It's that knee injury with Sam Scott. So we'll have to find out as in the fullness of time. But there's an injury clinic over the weekend, and we'll know better for when we reconvene.